Alright, here's our flipped classroom lesson on 5.5, which is using tables to represent equivalent ratios. You've probably seen ratios before, or ratio tables before, and you know how to fill them out. So here's an example of one. If you buy one muffin, it costs $2. If you buy two muffins, it costs $4. Three muffins is $6, so on and so forth, because each muffin, as you can see, is $2. But these are new ratios tables. So here's what we have to ask ourselves. What do we do when the numbers don't go in order? I just got through telling Mr. Bauer I think this is pretty silly, but it's one of those things. So what we have to do is we have to look at the relationship between the numbers, and then we have to create equivalent ratios, which again are just, are equivalent fractions. So, here's what we know. We know that the weight on Earth is 60 pounds and the weight on the moon is 10 pounds. So, weight on Earth is 60, weight on the moon is 10. And now here's what we know. We know that if we wanted to find the weight on Earth, if we knew the weight on the moon was 5 pounds, we could do 10 divided by 2 is 5. So in order to figure out this block, we would do 60 divided by 2 to get 30. If we know that 30 times 4 is 90, no it's not, Mrs. Rogers. 30 times 3 is 90. We would do 5 times 3 to get 15. And then if we know that, we can check this one. 30 times, let's say, this arrow times 4 is 120. And we would double check to make sure that 5 times 4 got us 20. So that is in fact correct. Okay, so here we've filled out our ratio table based on using those relationships. Okay. So, the next problem says a 6th grade pizza party is planned for tomorrow and Tracy has to order pizza. She knows that 2 pizzas will serve 9 students. So we're going to fill in the given ratio table using that information. So, we know that 2 times 5 gets me 10. So in order to fill in this block, I have to do 9 times 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Now we know that 45 times 10 is 450, so I would have to do 10 times 10 to get 100 pizzas. So 100 pizzas would feed 450 students. I can come down over here now. If I know that 100 pizzas feed 450 students, to get from 100 to 50, I would do divided by 2. So to get from 450 to the blank, I would have to do divided by 2 as well. So 450 split in half. Half of 400 is 200, and half of 50 is 25. So 225. And then, let's see, 135. Well, 3 sets of 45 is 135. So I could do 3 sets of 10 to get 30. Oh look, 135 times 10 is 1350, so 30 times 10 would be 300. And really, if I reduced all of these fractions down, they would all reduce down to 2 over 9 by dividing by the greatest common factor. So what you're going to do now is figure out how much yellow paint would be needed for 15 pints of bluish green paint. So you're going to basically fill in this chart. And the first thing I would recommend would be to fill in this block right here. Because remember, you can cover up that whole blue row and set up your equivalent ratios that way. So for example, I'm going to squeeze this in at the bottom. To fill in that block, you would do 5 over 2 equals 15 over what number? A blank number. So 5 times what is 15, and 2 times that same number gets you the blank. Fill in that chart accordingly. And we will talk about that in class tomorrow. And I didn't realize this was only one page. Look at that. You'll be done after you fill in that chart. Have a wonderful night.